The purpose of this press conference is to present the Declaration of Mothers to the nation and the world, declaring to Congress, our elected leaders, media, educators, anyone who's willing to listen to us, what we care about, that truth is self-evident, family matters, and freedom is worth fighting for. That's why we're here. So how the press conference is going to go, I am Kimberly Fletcher. I'm the president and founder of Homemakers for America. I'll be leading the press conference, and Homemakers for America is the organization that released the Declaration of Mothers. It was a 2-year endeavor because we wanted to make sure that we said the right things and that we took as much time and effort and ponder and prayer as our founders did in writing the Declaration for our country. And I think that God would be pleased with what we came up with. After writing the Declaration of Mothers, we then decided that because of what happened in the United Nations last year, when they tried to declare motherhood and unpaid work that needs to be recognized, reduced, and redistributed. I do not need my motherhood redistributed. We decided that the mothers of the world also needed a document. And so I reached out to Lenore, one of my friends from Spain, and several other women around the country from Women of the World. And we got together and penned a worldwide Declaration of Mothers. So in that time, the Declaration of Mothers was launched last May, and the Worldwide Declaration of Mothers was launched in January. So I'm just going to give you a little history of what happened, and then we're going to have several women come up and give specific comments that they feel is important to them and why they're a part of this movement, and sign the Declaration of Mothers. And then we will read the Declaration of Mothers, and then I'll have some closing comments. So the history of the Declaration of Mothers, since it was released in May of last year, we have had thousands, literally thousands upon thousands of mothers across this nation, and now over almost 6,000 cities, and every state in America signed the Declaration of Mothers, declaring very solidly that truth is self-evident, family matters, and freedom is worth fighting for. Then we decided to go out and reach out to some of the states in the country, and we've had several governors sign proclamations recognizing the Declaration of Mothers and declaring March 8th, today, International Mothers Influence Day. Now, historically, it has been known as International Women's Day, and we do celebrate that. But what we want to celebrate is what is the best in women. The goodness, the light, the truth, the things that make us who we truly are, because we are the shapers of the culture. We are determining what America will look like. So Homemakers for America, a lot of people think, oh, it's all about stay-home moms. And that's something that we want to very clearly explain, that this is not just about moms who stay home. In fact, it's not really about that at all. It is about women who put their priorities first and realize that in our home is where our greatest influence is. And that we are not just making a home, but we are shaping a nation. If we want to know what America is going to look like in 10, 15, 20 years from now, all we have to do is look at the homes of America today, and we will see what our nation will look like. And what we have today as a result of the last 10, 15, 20 years. So that's hope, ladies, because that means that if this is how we got here, we have the power to completely turn it around in one generation. And that's why we're here. That's why we launched this movement. Once we went to the Worldwide Declaration of Mothers, we realized just how many women. It's a more international document, but the truths are still the same. That mothers are the keepers of the culture. That we are the shapers of nations. And that our influence is profound. And we had women from around the world flood to that declaration. And it was within 2 weeks signed by hundreds of organizations across the world representing 8 million people in 170 countries.
That's amazing.
That is powerful. Yeah. So this message resonates. We are the silent majority of women in America and in the world who want our families to be cherished, our rights under God to be respected, and to be able to lead, guide, and nurture our children in the way that we see fit. So on International Women's Day, we are celebrating the best and the greatest in women. that thing that creates more beauty, more light, and more truth in our culture. So with that, we will have several women coming up to give presentations, again, about why they signed the Declaration of Mothers, why they think this is important, and then I will be back.
My name is Cecilia DeSonia. I'm a wife, mother, author, and a patriot. I joined the Moms March movement after attending the Moms March for America conference in 2017. Soon after, I knew it was an answer to prayer. This movement is all about awakening moms to the power they possess to reshape this nation and inspire our children so that they can become the adults that will bring this country back to upholding morals and constitutional principles our founding fathers dreamed it would be. A democratic republic that limits government power. But today it seems the government is abusing its power, especially in the public school system. As a mother with 3 school-age children, I am deeply concerned with the direction the public education system has turned. In the wake of the latest school shooting, students are lobbying to ban guns and dismantle the Second Amendment. This is because they have not been properly educated about the Constitution and the history behind the Second Amendment and why it should be protected today. Some adults are wanting to ban guns also because it's easier to do that than to look at the root cause of our kids' desire to kill. Part of that root cause is an absence of God and prayer in school, and absent parental guidance. Busy parents are unaware of what's going on in their kids' social life, and oftentimes unaware of what is happening in their children's education, such as Common Core. Common Core curriculum is a poison in the school system. It is a socialist recruitment program designed to mass produce a generation of liberal thinkers that are destroyers of liberty. Common Core and radical left teachers promote big government and a socialist false utopia dream, and parents are too busy to notice what's happening right under their noses. Another example is the LGBTQ sex education in schools. Sex ed is no longer about teaching kids about their bodies and the birds and the bees, but rather about sexual exploration with their own bodies and with their peers. And they are advised to do these things without notifying their parents. Our children, as young as 5, are being taught that their gender is a choice instead of a biological fact. More and more children are becoming confused about what gender they want to identify with and are prescribed dangerous puberty-blocking drugs. All the while, parents are standing by and allowing it to happen. As a mother, I'm asking other mothers to wake up, rise up, and speak out against the injustice that our children are having in the public school. No longer can we be too busy to invest in our children's lives. We must shepherd them against the deception of the very system that is supposed to be educating them. Parents, I challenge you to be more educated as to what is being presented to your child at school and get involved. Demand a change in the public school system at a local, state, and federal level. Moms, understand the power of your influence over your children and your school. Let's band together and lobby for change, but also let's teach our children to love themselves, love each other, to embrace their bodies as they were created to be, embrace the history of their nation, to respect the democratic republic their forefathers created, and the relevance of the Constitution. Teach them to love the greatest nation in history, the United States of America, because if we don't, she will surely die.
My name is Farrah Prudence. I am a follower of Christ, a wife, a mother, a woman, and an American. I was born free here in this great country of ours to a Muslim father and a Christian mother. After my mother's forced conversion to Islam when I was 5, my dad moved us to the Middle East. And that's where I endured 10 years of living under Sharia law, or Sharia, barely surviving the verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. I clung to the hope of one day coming back home, right here to the United States again, so I can be free. When I came back, by the grace of God, of course, I found my country getting tainted and torn apart by self-proclaimed civil activists trying to bring Sharia and socialism to our free country. You can't begin to imagine how much pain that brought to my heart. when I found true hope in Christ and decided to speak up and speak out and fight for our American identity, freedoms, and liberties, and sovereignty. My sweet daughter is almost a year old, and her birth has strengthened my resolve. I want to help present her with a strong and beautiful America that has a clear understanding of what is right and what is wrong, along with a mighty resolution to stand up for what is right, even in the face of popular opinion. My hope is that my precious daughter will grow up unwilling to sacrifice what is righteous, pure, and beautiful on the altar of acceptance, open-mindedness, and diversity. This is why I stand before you today in full support of this blessed and glorious Moms March movement and the Declaration of Mothers. It is impossible to correct the dangerous path that our nation is headed down without achieving the principal goals of this magnificent movement. Ladies and gentlemen, America has a heart problem. The American family is what makes up the heart of America, and mothers are the hearts of the American families. We must stand, march, and speak boldly together, resolute, unapologetically, for our God-given right to nurture our families and through that our nation back to health. Thank you, and God bless this movement and our United States of America.
My name is Donna Rice Hughes, and I'm the president and CEO of Enough is Enough, and our mission since 1994 has been to make the internet safer for children and for families. And I'm so honored to join you here today on both International Women's Day and International Mother's Influence Day. Great call. When mothers and grandmothers unite together behind our shared commitment to children, family, freedom, and country, and stand against the forces which threaten these God-given blessings and freedoms, we can be a powerful force for change, and we can resurrect hope together. Since America's founding, it has been the moms that have been the glue that have held families together, that have raised up our children to lead the next generation, and that have held up the arms of both our husbands and our nation's leaders. As a stepmother and grandmother of 3 young children, I stand before you today with both a beacon and a burden. First, the burden. Pope Francis, who I had the honor of meeting just this last fall at our first World Congress on Child Dignity in the Digital Age, once said, a society can be judged by the way it treats its children. And sadly, in America today, the sexual exploitation of children is at an all-time high. 1 in 10 children this year will be sexually abused in the United States. Each year, 100,000 American children are the victims of sex trafficking. The United States is second in the world in hosting child pornography websites. America is the #1 producer, distributor, and exporter of hardcore internet pornography. Why? Because our federal obscenity laws have not been aggressively enforced. There are laws on the books, but they have not been enforced. An average of 70% of teenage boys and girls have seen online pornography depicting anal sex. And yes, that is being taught in our schools too, unfortunately. And 25% have seen bestiality. 1/3 of our youth have been cyberbullied. Our nation is at a crossroads. We must rise up, fight back, and together say enough is enough, and now is the time. And thank you so much to all of you who are a part of this Mothers Movement. But in our battle cry, we must not despair, because we have a beacon of hope. Rooted in our Constitution, one nation under God with liberty and justice for all. A culture of human dignity and mutual respect has made this nation strong even in our most turbulent times in our history, and we've had a lot of them. When women, moms, and grandmothers lead by example, when we stand together and focus on what unites us and not on what divides us, and build the bridges of reconciliation, civility and manners will return to our streets. All people will be treated with dignity and respect. The golden rule will be the new normal again. Kindness will replace bullying. And yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, will be the common rhetoric of our youth, and our children will once again be able to pray and say the Pledge of Allegiance in grade school, just like I did, just like some of you did. And all of the federal laws to prevent the sexual exploitation of children will be aggressively enforced, not just some of them. We have the responsibility to leave a legacy to generations to come so that children and women can collectively say, not me, instead of me too, and are free to live in a society where their innocence and dignity is protected from sexual exploitation because we did our part. For the sake of the children, our families, and our nation, thank you, and God bless you.
My name's Danielle Hinchcliffe. As a Christian homemaker in this great nation, I wholeheartedly support the Mother's Declaration. I support it because it contains the values and beliefs that I try to live every day. The Declaration means to me that my role as a mother is vital to the future of our nation. Why now? The timing of my support lines up with the fact I have a teenager and 2 young children at home. And they're growing up in an age of social media and reality TV, where the youth is being influenced by daily ads in their social media, and going viral is their life goal. I see the rapid decline of our nation's core values with the next generation. This is the time to reclaim our homes, our families, and the 3 pillars of liberty: faith, virtue, and patriotism. Along with the Mother Declaration, I strive to bring more awareness and acceptance to our special needs youth, to equip them and help them realize that their unique abilities are vital to our nation's future. We want to show the nation that we can make changes for this community, they can thrive, and they're great, and they can be the next great generation. I also want to be a warning to other parents of the importance of the Anchor initiative. Don't be like me and think, I'm that good helicopter mom, my house is safe, nothing would ever happen to my child. 2013, I was that mom. And within seconds, a 32-inch TV fell on my son and fractured his skull in 2 places. He had to be given CPR and then was on life support for 5 days. Through prayer and the goodness of Jesus Christ, God gave him back to me. But in this great nation, 1 child every 10 days dies of a TV or furniture tip-over accident. It needs to be talked about. And don't beat yourself up. Just anchor it. In closing, I hope every mother will join us in our pledge of the Declaration of Mothers. It is us. The time is now. We are raising the next generation, the future lawmakers, scientists, teachers, and parents of America. Thank you.
Proverbs 14:1. The wise woman builds her house, but with her own hands. The foolish one tears her down. My name's Amber Crawford. I was born in Fort Lewis, Washington. I come from a long military family. My husband's in the Army. My eldest son's in the Army. At 12 years old, I got hooked on drugs. I was homeless and on hard drugs till I was 20. At 20 years old, my son was already 3, and I turned it around. I got sober and went to rehab. My son is now in the Army. I have an 8-year-old. I have a husband. I have a home. I have a life. These are things that the world tells me that we cannot have as drug addicts, as moms, as teen moms, as all these things that I went through. The world and the liberal world tells us we can't have that. We can't have it. Bill Gates' wife said that women that do not get paid are a drain on society because we were raising our children. I didn't give up anything to raise my children. I'm giving up playing, acting stupid, doing stupid things. What? I'm not giving anything up. I'm a mom. I sit there, I take care of my kids. This is what we're supposed to do. We didn't have kids so that the world can raise them. I didn't have kids so I could drop them off at daycare and somebody else can teach them how to pray. how to be a good person, how to be an honorable man. And that is the problem with the world right now. Right now, the world teaches our boys to be boys. And I am not raising boys, I'm raising men. I want men that will go into this world and they will make a difference. They will change something. I'm not political, I'm not like everybody, I'm just not. I'm just me. I pulled myself out of the ghetto, I got off drugs, and I raised my family. I'm working on my college education, I'm getting a master's in counseling with an emphasis in PTSD. So I can work with more soldiers. So this is what life is about. This is why I joined this, because the world is asking us to hand our kids over to other people to raise them. But if I didn't want to raise my own kids, I wouldn't have had kids. I would have just been single and kept doing what I was doing. So my biggest thing I wanted to share here is that when we send our children into this world, we as mothers are what people look at. They look at our children and they go, you did a really good job. You did a really great job. You know, and moms, we all beat ourselves up. We're like, oh, we're not gonna be good enough. I was a junkie, okay? There ain't nothing lower than that. You can do it, trust me. But we do that. We beat ourselves up. That's what we do as women. And the world tells us that that's okay. You're not supposed to have a job, and you're not supposed to do this, and you can't homeschool your kids, and you can't do this, and you can't do... Why? Who? Who told me? Who said I can't do it? Is it the same people that told me I could never get sober and have a family and be productive? Maybe it's the same people. But in conclusion, I have one thing to say about this. If they were so important, they would have a name.
Hello, my name is Cassiopeia Fletcher, and yes, I am Kimberly's daughter. While many of you will likely assume that I am only involved in this movement because of who my mother is, you'd only be partially right. However, should I not have been born a Fletcher, I firmly believe that my lack of involvement in the Moms March movement would not be due to disinterest, but rather because I am a 30-year-old millennial with no husband and no kids. In fact, I have never even had a boyfriend. Because of this, I would undoubtedly suffer from a false realization that I don't belong here. Please note that I said false. Because even though I am not currently a wife or a mother, I am a homemaker. And if you're like me, you're a homemaker too. Because whether it's your college dorm, your current apartment, the couch at your best friend's flat, or your parents' dining room, it's only temporary, you are making that space your own. You are making it a home. You are a homemaker. And while I may not be a mother yet, I have every intention of being one in the future. And that is why I am here. That is why I march. Because when I have that chance, I want to bring my children into a world that is better in every way than the one in which I now live. But until that time comes, I will continue making my home, wherever it may be, as I march, one day at a time, for my future family. My name is Cassiopeia Fletcher. I am a writer, a teacher, a sister, a daughter, and a friend. I am a homemaker, and that is why I march.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Stalker. I have two little boys. I have a 4- and a 6-year-old who keep me on my toes all the time. And I'm already missing them, but husband is doing okay with them right now. So we're good. And there's no disasters yet. Okay, so as a Christian constitutional conservative homemaker living in the great state of Arizona, okay, I enthusiastically support the Declaration of Mothers. I'm a former published professional journalist and business owner. My husband and I found out we were pregnant with our oldest son in 2011. It was then that we made the decision for me to stay at home, to raise our children, and I've never looked back. By the time my second son was born, I was seeing rewarding fruits of being able to help them with their homework and see them do well in school is a joy. It's a great feeling opening that report card and seeing a line of straight A's across the page. It made me get teary-eyed the first time I saw that. We're all in the trenches on the homemaker front. Some days play out like a 7-Eleven, and I'm on the graveyard shift. And some days blend into the next, and some days I don't get out of my PJs. If you get a shower in a 3-day time span, then that's a victory. Motherhood is not glamorous, but at the end of the day, it is the best job in the world. Can a price tag ever be put on motherhood? Forbes magazine published an article in 2011 stating why stay-at-home moms should earn at least $115,000 salary. No matter if you are a stay-at-home mom or you are a working mom, the value cannot be measured and the roles are the same. But the role of the mother is under attack. The liberal left have painted the wrong picture of what they think a mother's role looks like. The Women's March movement parade around in their pink hats, pretending to care about real issues affecting women, but they do not speak for the majority of us. It's a labor of love for all mothers who carried a child to full term, birthed and breastfed their baby, got spat up on, thrown up on, defecated on, kissed that first scab knee, or stayed up all night worried about a high fever. Anyone ever witnessed a chocolate gift in their children's crib in the morning when you go to pick them up? Well, you get the idea. The empowering message is that we as mothers often contribute to the overall success of our children from the cradle till the day they graduate high school and college, move out of the home, get married, and start their own family. Mothers raise the next generation of doctors, rocket scientists, astronauts, or even the next president of the United States. Sorry, I lost my place. I got involved in politics after hearing Franklin Graham say that Christians should get involved in order to make a difference for the things that we care about. I'm currently the president for a political women's club in Arizona called Tempe Republican Women. Defending religious liberty, the unborn, Israel, the traditional family, and the Second Amendment are values that are important to me. I will continue to fight for a better future for my sons. And they're growing up in a millennial culture of video games and Tide Pods and lack of personal responsibility. I pray for a restoration of the America our fathers established when writing our founding documents. Principles of a strong faith in God, limited government and a free society, and the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now is the turning point. If no one will stand up and fight against the lies that a mother's role doesn't matter in a society already in moral decline, then we've already lost the battle. And that is why I'm standing here with you today. I'm honored to be here with God-fearing mothers, and we're praying for the heart and soul of our nation today. We must lead our children by example in the hopes that the generation after us will keep our constitutional republic. I believe we can inspire one another to change the world one strong, courageous woman at a time. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bianca Gracia, and I was here trying to work on a speech. I'm not very good at writing speech. I like to speak from the heart. I'm first very humbled and honored to be here and to join this movement and to sign the Declaration of Mothers. I am a conservative Christian mother, and I homeschool my 2 boys. I was married, or I have been married for almost 20 years, and have been home for 10 years until this last election. I decided that it was too important as a mother to be silenced anymore. So I became unsilenced and got extremely political involved because I knew that the future of my children was either me speaking out for them and other people like you, or they were going to go down a road with no hope and no future. So as a conservative mother, I obviously support school choice as a homeschooling mother. People ask me, how do you do it all? Well, by the grace of God. Because when you stay home for 10 years and you ask God, what am I supposed to do? I'm a degreed mother. I've studied. I've gone to master's program. What am I supposed to do for you? And then one morning you get a phone call and you get told you're going to now be in charge of the state of Texas. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm a stay-at-home mom. I've been honored and blessed to represent the state of Texas in the political arena. God has led me to work with Hispanic evangelicals. My job was supposed to be working with the Hispanic community, but he led me to the church. I go and now I train Hispanic evangelical pastors on why they're supposed to be politically involved, because it's biblically based, and that's what our Constitution was founded on. So I've gone as a Catholic. I was raised Catholic, and I asked God, why am I supposed to work with pastors? I know priests. Now, because of my work, I now have an outreach of 13,000 congregations within the Rio Grande Valley, all the way up into the Gulf Coast. In the Houston area, there's 8,000 congregations of Hispanic evangelicals that I work with. So, yes, I am proud of what I do. I wear many hats, and people ask me, how is it that you can go and do everything that you do and then still homeschool your children? By God's grace. My children are older now. As I was home, and as she said before, you nurse your children, you've been there for your children, you are up with them at night, but now was the time. God knew what he was doing with me. He's going to use me as a vessel, he's going to use me as a voice, and I am honored and humbled, and I say to him every day, how will you use me? And this is what I'm doing, and this is why I decided that I was so glad that Marvina asked me if I would join this movement and be part of the Declaration of Mothers, because it was important. And this is what we do. We have to be the light into a dark. As Christian conservative mothers, that is what we need to stand up for. And this March in November, that is what we're going to do. We have to show our communities, regardless of the color of your skin, regardless of who you are, we have to show far more greater than that we are the light into the dark, that we are the future. We are the ones that have the say-so in how we raise our children, to teach them about God, and not that there is no God. So we are the people, as you say, we are the center of our household. I am married to a veteran and a sergeant of police who combats human trafficking. That's another reason I speak out. My brothers are veterans. My little brother is a 100% disabled veteran. That's why I speak out. Because when the left said that there was no problems with the VA's administration, you got another thing coming. Because when my little brother is out there sitting on a beach thinking that he can't get help and no one is opening the door for him and he has to wait 6 months for a doctor's appointment, you don't tell me that they don't need help and that they don't have anybody and that and nothing is wrong with the VA department. There is things that are wrong. I speak out for them. So not just taking care of my household, but I speak out for those who cannot speak for themselves. Not everybody is brave to have a voice. People don't, but mothers need to understand that if it is not us who speak out, then who will? Do we let the left control the narrative? Do we let them continue to take the rhetoric on? No. It is time to stop. It is time to put our foot down and say, no, we are the mothers of America. These other liberal left pink wearing hat ladies teaching their kids, they don't even know what they're walking around with a sign saying, pro-choice. Your mother is telling you that she had a choice to terminate you, and you're going to walk around. Do they even understand the message? No, they don't. It is time for us as mothers to say, no more. We are not silenced anymore. We have become unsilenced, and we will stand up for this country. We will stand up for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and I thank you very much for your time.
This is an awesome place to be today. I'm Tanya Nelson. My husband and I live on a farm in Idaho with our 6 children, who I homeschool. And at one point in time, my little daughter thought that everything that was printed on paper was either scripture or the Constitution. So it was a very natural step for my husband and I to found Freedom Factor, an organization that is devoted to preserving the United States Constitution and protect faith, family, and freedom. Our goal is to distribute 100 million pocket constitutions around the world and encourage everyone to read, know, and share the document that protects what we care about. In a painting on display at the Capitol building, George Washington is pictured standing before the Continental Congress at the conclusion of the Revolutionary War, surrendering, giving back the power that was entrusted in him. This is a remarkable moment captured in art. A perusal of history teaches us very quickly how many people will seek to have power over their fellow man and the suffering that results when that power is abused. The stories of men laying down power are much more difficult to find. In our individual lives, freedom allows each of us to experience 2 grand adventures and 1 soul-stretching opportunity. The first adventure is one of discovery. In the book A Wind in the Door, Meg learns that if someone knows who he is, really knows, then he doesn't need to hate. History gives us a window through which we can discover who we are, absolutely unique and at the same time bonded to our fellow man through a shared identity. Our uniqueness, once discovered, allows us an individual opportunity to contribute to the world. Corrie ten Boom tells us in The Hiding Place, "I know that the experiences of our lives, when we let God use them, become the mysterious and perfect preparation for the work He will give us to do. The second adventure is the fulfillment of our individual purpose." Then comes the great opportunity to inspire others in their journey of discovering who they really are and then engaging in the work that they are given individually to do. You can count the seeds in an apple, but you can't count the apples in a seed. Nor can we measure the impact of our lives on those we influence, especially our children. The opportunity to live in an environment of freedom where these adventures are possible is protected by the Constitution of the United States, liberty's great security system. But the Constitution will only protect freedom if we as citizens understand our system of government and respond to the alarm bells that sound when freedom is threatened. This is the mission of Freedom Factor, to protect freedom by distributing 100 million pocket constitutions and make sure that those alarm bells ring loud and clear. That's why I've joined this movement that stands for faith, family, and freedom. And I invite you to come to freedomfactor.org and join us in protecting our freedom and protecting faith and family. Thank you.
My name is Julene Jackson, and it is an honor to add my voice to your voices this afternoon. My husband and I have lived in our nation's capital for over 20 years, and we have had 7 children, and he unexpectedly surprised me today. Thank you for coming. I have a lot I could say about the cottage meeting revolution, the way it has impacted the 4 walls of my home and my neighborhoods and even this nation. But I'm going to save that topic for another opportunity because I'm going to read the remarks of Marlene Peterson. She was called away unexpectedly to attend to her daughter who just gave birth 3 days ago to a little baby, that baby son who passed away. And it makes her remarks especially meaningful and underscores a mother-hearted women and their ability to be saviors. You know, myself, out of our 7 children, we lost 2 little sons in infancy. It's different seasons of my life. And I will never forget the mothering hearts of women that came to my aid to console and to comfort and give me hope to move forward. And at those tender seasons of my life, most certainly those women were saviors to me. And so I'm going to now read Marlene's remarks. Not far from us, that away, in the U.S. Capitol Hall, in the National Statuary Hall, is 35 statues. The very first, 9 of the 35 are women. The very first woman, her name is Frances Willard, was the first to be inducted into that hall. And she was the founder and the first president of the National Council of Women. In 1888, if you can imagine, she delivered a speech entitled The Dawn of the Woman's Day. Wow. And now, over 130 years later, on this day set aside for women, it is fitting to review the original intention of the founders of the women's movement. No longer, she declared, would women work in weakness and seclusion and loneliness and isolation. Mothering was to be the central idea of this new movement. And this movement for home and humanity was met with enthusiasm and a spontaneous reaction amongst women. Frances declared, from this time, quote, in the world we will have in it no active organic force so strong for its uplifting as its organized mothering hearts, women in council working to improve the sanctuary of their hearts. You will notice, she says, you will notice the breadth of my generalization. I do not say all mothers, because all mothers who are technically mothers are not all mother-hearted, while many a woman is so, from whom the crisscross currents of the world have withheld her holiest crown. And the earth helped the woman is one of the Bible's grandest prophecies fulfilled for us, whereby women shall be relieved from the drudgery of the daily toil and lifted to the level of her highest and holiest ministries. This holiest crown was denied to many of the key players in this original movement. A leading publicist of the day once asked Susan B. Anthony, "With your great head and heart, you of all women I have met ought to have been a mother and a wife." Her response was, "Well, I thank you, sir, for I take that as the highest compliment. But sweeter even than to have had the joy of caring for children of my own, it has been for me to be able to help bring about a better state of things for mothers generally." Francis continued, quote, "When the mother learns the divine secret of her power, then shall the blessed prophecy of the world's peace come true. Mother love works magic for humanity, but organized mother love produces miracles. Mother-hearted women are to be the saviors of the race," she said, unquote. A white ribbon campaign was begun with the motto, "Hearts within, God overhead." In her speech, Frances Willard admonished the women to read a book written by a woman entitled Frances Cobb, The Duties of Women. After a call to recognize, quote, "how noble and brave and beautiful is the ideal of womanly virtue in which we are bound to lift ourselves up," she issued a stern warning, quote, "I have striven to warn my hearers against that adoption of looser and more bohemian manners, and worst of all, that fatal laxity of judgment regarding grave moral transgressions which have appeared of late years among us, the inevitable extravagance of reaction from earlier restrictions." She continues, "These faults and mistakes constitute, I conceive, deadly peril in the whole movement for the advancement of women. And with all my strength, I would implore every woman who sympathizes with that movement to set her face like flint against them." She further says, "It is our task to make society more pure, more free from vice than it has been before. If women were to become less conscientious, less unselfish, less temperance, less chaste, then I should say, for heaven's sakes, let us stay where we are. Nothing we can gain would be worth such a loss," unquote. To Frances Willard and Susan B. Anthony and Frances Cobb and the other great women who have blazed the trail and opened up the path of education and opportunity for women, we thank you. We honor you. And today we pick up the torch that somehow has been dropped along the way. And remember that it is the hearts of mothers who are the saviors of the race. We will strive to help women realize the divine secret of their power as we reaffirm the conviction that while mothers love will work magic on humanity, organized mothers love will work miracles. Thank you.
There's been someone else here who's been in the background taking pictures, our official photographer. And I asked her this morning, I said, "Do you have something that you would like to say?" And she's like, no. And I said, "Well, if you ever do at any moment, you let me know." So I would like to introduce you to Virginia Sons, our amazing photographer and awesome mom.
Okay, and I'm like, oh no, now what? You know, she said that she speaks, you know, I'm not a speaker, I speak a lot. I talk to my friends, my family. But I just want to tell you a little bit about me, because Bianca, when you spoke, it's just like you were so powerful, and you're like, wow, God, can you give that to me to be that bold, to speak out? And I'm just pointing her out because she just like woke me up, you know. But because everybody else here, you know, it's you guys who are helping us, who don't necessarily have the words and the speaking ability to stand up for us, to help us gain that courage, to make that next step, you know. And I was sitting there I was thinking back there, I was like, okay, what do I have to offer, and I'm like, well, I have been doing this and this through, I've got 4 boys,
Oh, wow.
31, 30, 30, 26.
Wow.
I gotta go backwards,
Wow.
and 2 of them have given me 7 grandbabies.
Wow.
3
Wow.
months to 9.
That's awesome.
And it's boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. And we've been through a lot. With my boys, I fought against them giving my kids Harry Potter in school to read. I would not allow it.
No.
My kids didn't like it that I didn't want them to watch Power Rangers. They didn't like it that I didn't like Bart Simpson, and all those different ones. They didn't like it that when they had their school dances and ROTC that mom and dad were there at the dances and I was getting out on the floor if I felt they were getting inappropriate, if the dance looked a little bit questionable, and I'd say, no, I'm here because, you're not going to be doing that. You're going to represent. You have a Father in heaven, and that's who you're going to be representing.
That's right.
My husband's a retired Army, 26 years, different jobs, recruited for 10 years. He was a drill sergeant, so I'm the wife of a husband of the jobs that 50% get divorced.
Yeah.
Okay?
Wow.
And we could have went there. There was times. And those times were because I stepped out. It was me, not him. But my husband forgave me, and he loved me. And we've been married 32 years. Been together for 34, but we've been married 32 years.
Wow. That's awesome.
And he has always said, when it comes to my boys, he said, no one's going to look at what we do, the jobs that we hold, the people that we support, but they're going to remember who you are by the children you've raised.
That's right. That's so true. That's so true.
So I'm hoping that I'll be able to get a little bit better at this speaking thing. And stand. I helped ban the book in school. When the kids were in school, I was like, no, he's not reading that book. But there's not too many of those times. But this is what's going to help us stand up and do more.
Yeah. That's
Thank
right.
you guys.
Hello everyone, my name is Marvina Ray Case. I am a cancer and rape survivor from the proud state of Texas. I was raised in Gary, Indiana and East Chicago, Indiana, educated at Purdue University, and I served as a commissioner for the town of Gilbert, Arizona. And I'm cultured in my many travels around the world to 42 countries. I'm affectionately known as one mean mother. I am the biological mother of 2, legal mother of 4, and hundreds of children around the world call me mom. Being a mom is the greatest challenge, the greatest joy, and my greatest victory. We are designing tomorrow's world leaders today in raising our children. Much like a politician, the policies mothers put in place affect society, and the actions shape the world around us. My children are my legacy. My gift to this world. They are a better version of me. I am wife to the amazing Ryan Lee Case, can't even say my last name today, and daughter of the man I owe my success to, my father, John Rivers. I am direct descendant of a lengthy line of phenomenal women on both sides. My mother, Moselle W. Rivers, lifelong educator and humanitarian, and my grandmothers, Annie L. Wilson and Ida B. Rivers, as well as many other women who have mothered me over the years. Connie Vella, Freddie Upshaw, Alva Katrina Wilson, Kathy Anna Comley, Mary Catherine Lard, Dolores Cobb, Kathleen Hill, Lupe Rivas, Terry Thomas, Morgan Morningstar, and my remarkable mother-in-law, yes, I love my mother-in-law, who, when my mother passed in 2011, said, I cannot replace your mother, but I will be a mother to you. Rosalinda Case Engel. They taught me that a mother is not defined by blood, but by action. I am here because women can have it all and all to do, and I do. But nothing comes before my duties as a wife and mom other than my God.
Amen.
In raising my children, I have watched firsthand what happens in society and what's wrong with America. The breakdown of the family has brought our society to its knees, and sadly, it's not in prayer, but in fear as we hide to avoid being shot in schools and movie theaters or at work. Nearly every news story of every travesty says he had a troubled childhood. They were loners. She never fitted in. We are building too many weapons, and they are not guns. They are motherless children or those whose cradles were not lovingly balanced and rocked. The Declaration of Mothers for me says, Mom up. Women are created and were created to do all the things that a man cannot do. We are not equally gifted, but we are equally loved. Our roles as mothers and fathers are not the same, but they are equally important. We do not value life. We do not value our husbands, our fathers, our officers, our military, our brothers, or our sons. We don't value our daughters, our sisters, our teachers, our mentors, or our mothers. As a society, we do not value anything. We lack values. And that is what is leading to our destruction and eventually our irrelevancy. Everything starts with the family and ends with the family. So values and value start at home. So I say it loudly, Mom up. The time is now for this Mom's March movement, and it's bigger than me. Even at 6'4" and 239 pounds, it's bigger than me. It's bigger than all the amazing mothers in this room. It is bigger even than our nation. But the problems can be solved one home at a time by rocking that cradle with love and balance and simply being a good mother. Momming up means you must be willing to do the hard lessons and live with the fact that you will not always be liked. And you must discipline out of love and be strong enough to wait for that sweet reward. As stated in Proverbs 31, she is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. In the end, children will love you for setting boundaries, demanding performance, and holding them accountable and responsible for their each and every action. And in the end, you will have the last laugh. I'm here because my mother lived up to the Declaration of Mothers, and because I want to stand next to the First Lady and Second Lady in the Rose Garden as they sign the Declaration of Mothers. And yes, that is an open invite. I urge mothers all around the world to mom up and declare their commitment to building better people, one crib at a time. Thank you. We're now going to go into the actual Declaration of Mothers, which I'm going to start off by reading.
Hold
So,
on
ladies,
just a second. Let me get my thing here, please. I want to video this.
This is a Declaration of Mothers. As the mothers, primary makers of homes of America and motors of the future of our nation, we declare that the liberty and freedom of all people begin in the home, and that a nation is but a magnified home. The values and virtues taught within the family will determine the values and virtues of the nation as a whole.
We recognize the sacred role of mother as the heart of the home, and the home is the heart of society. The liberty of each individual begins in the home, and parents are first and foremost the primary teachers and protectors of their children in a free society.
Properly constructed social, religious, and governmental institutions are designed to support and strengthen the family unit, not replace it or regulate it. No association or government organization can replace the family, no matter how well-intentioned or well-designed it may be.
Living as a free people in a free society is directly linked to being a people of faith, virtue, and patriotism. The three pillars of liberty, homes and families with mothers who nurture and teach these principles, produce leaders who honor and hold sacred the nobility of an individual. We affirm that all men and women are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and to secure these rights, governments and instituted among men, receiving their just powers from the consent of the governed.
To secure the blessings of liberty, the Founding Fathers of the United States of America created a written constitution under the inspiration of Almighty God. Each generation is responsible for safeguarding the Constitution and teaching their children the responsibilities associated with the preservation of this sacred document and the rights secured by it.
Each member of the human race is born with intrinsic dignity and right to liberty, self-determination, and self-governance. The individual's responsibility of work, education, and industry are crucial elements of self-governance in society and the preservation of human dignity.
The rights of a free people are protected and preserved through honorable, virtuous leadership, which invokes the nobility inherent in all men and women. Successful leaders in the home and family, governed by correct principles, teach by example, and stand for self-evident truths and liberty-sustaining principles.
As the lessons of history clearly demonstrate, we recognize that freedom is fragile. It is a rare and prized possession and requires constant care and vigilance for its preservation. Living as a free people does not come instinctively. Principles of freedom must be studied and applied. Each generation has a responsibility to instill a love of liberty and virtue in the hearts of the next generation.
To safeguard the liberty, enhance the future of our children and grandchildren, we affirm our commitment to stand fast in that liberty wherewith God hath made us free. That government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from this earth. That is the Declaration of Mothers. I think you can understand why so many women have felt compelled to sign this, and why so many women around the world came to us and said, "Can we have one too?" Of course. I think maybe some of you have noticed, as you're watching, there have been a lot of women coming up here with lavender. What we want to create is a movement of light. You've heard that resonating today. Light, truth, and goodness, the best that's in women. Last year, on International Women's Day, some feminists thought it would be a good idea to start this thing called A Day Without a Woman, and told all the women in America, if you want to show your sisterhood, let's just don't go to work, don't go to school, only shop at women-owned businesses, and let's show the world what it's like without us. And I just sat there and said, I know the powerful influence of women and mothers. I want to show the world what it's like with us. And so we launched A Day with a Mother. And as you can see, there are women from all different backgrounds here. Some of them have not had children. Some of them are children are grown. I am blessed to have 8 children of my own, and I just this year had 3 grandchildren, my first 3 grandchildren from 3 of my children, who all decided to do it at the same time after waiting for so long. And I can tell you that being a mother is a powerful thing. Being a woman that shapes the culture is a powerful thing. But there ain't nothing like being a grandma. And when I held my first grandbaby in my arms, I didn't say me too, I said not this one. This little boy. How can any mother look at their son, and at what point in their lives do they look at that child and say, oh, now you're going to become a rapist? Who does that? I do not want to have a movement where we are denigrating men. I want to herald the men in our lives. We need them, hand in hand, arm in arm, to work together, husbands and wives, men and women. Let's celebrate our boys. Let's lift them up and show them who they are. Amen. Let's help our girls realize that they have the power to lift those boys, build those men, and create a society that the evils of the world will cringe at. When we wake up in the morning, I want the devil to say, oh no, she's awake. Let's be those women. That's what this movement is about. So one of the things that we always get asked is, yes, this is awesome. I'm empowered. Okay, now what? You're empowered. You're excited. I'm going to tell you some now what. We have some exceptional people here today from some organizations that are helping you know the now what. You heard from some of them. Jolene Jackson talked about our cottage meeting project. I'm going to have her come up in a little bit and just talk a little bit more about that because it's very powerful and profound. It can help us build a foundation of liberty in our own homes and make a powerful difference and impact in our nation and our world simply by being who we are, just doing things a little bit differently. We have heard from Freedom Factor, Tanya Nelson talked about this powerful campaign to put pocket constitutions in the hands of 100 million Americans and people around the world. And Homemakers for America has our own designed pocket constitution just for the ladies. So you can buy them in boxes or you can buy them in bundles and send them to your kids' schools. We're working with the state of Nebraska to have constitutions sent out to every civics class student in every civics class. You heard from Enough is Enough. I cannot even say what an incredible blessing it is to have Donna Rice Hughes here and have this incredible organization, Enough is Enough, that protects our children on the front lines. And from all of these evil influences on the internet and in the movies and films, where they're bombarded. And you've got this awesome organization that's out there fighting it. And people on, as they say, both sides of the aisle, you know what, this is a mom issue. This is a family issue. I'm so tired of this red, blue, whatever. This is about families. And we need to toss those political parties out the window and start standing on principle. And that's what she does. She stands on principles. This is common sense. But one of the things she did this year that I just thought was amazing was her sweet tweets and sending out a message of a positive message of good and thank you to someone you know. It's all year long. I thought it was just the month of February. It's all year long. So I'm going to be posting this like crazy because we need more goodness. We need more civility. We need more humanity. So for the Day with a Mother, what we are encouraging is for women to go out and be seen and be heard. Wear your lavender. If you've got one of our shirts, that's great, but any color, any lavender, anything will do. Go to work, wear your shirt, and show your boss you're spending a day with a mother. You're welcome. Go to school, give the best that you have, be the best that you can be. Grab your kids around, throw on their lavender, don that color, and go out in the community and serve. Clean up a park. Go and work at the food bank, whatever. Give service, be seen, be heard in this mass movement of showing the goodness of women. And if you gotta get, you need to get towels or your kids need new shoes, hey, what a great day. A day with a mother. And find those small business, family-owned businesses in your community and support them. Support another mother. Thank you. Both wearing your purple shirts as you go. We're in our lavender, we got our lavender on. So everybody keeps asking me why lavender. When I was sitting at the computer trying to come up with a color, because you got to have a color for a movement, right? And I bleed red, white, and blue, so that was, no, it needs to be something that is more unifying. Not that I don't think red, white, and blue is totally unifying. Unfortunately, it's become kind of polarizing for whatever reason. And so all these palettes are coming across my screen, and I saw lavender, and that instantly resonated. I was like, that looks like Mother's Day, whatever. And then I looked up what it means. It means grace, purity, devotion. It is a color of purple, which is a shade of purple, which is the color of royalty, and we are all daughters of God. And it is red, white, and blue blended together.
Wow.
It is a color that represents the best in us and unites us together in this great grand celebration of promoting goodness and truth. Before we close today, I asked Jolene if she would come back up because nobody talks about the cottage meeting like she does. And so in just the next couple of minutes, I'm going to have her come up and tell you about this powerful program that you can do in your own home to promote freedom. And then I'll just come up and say just really short remarks and we will close. Jolene?
Thank you, Kimberly. You always get me to the heart, and when your tears start to flow, mine do too. We are right there with you, sister, every step of the way. 10 years ago, we moved to a very troublesome community where what was being taught to our children in the schools began to worry me. And we had children in high school, middle school, and elementary. And so one little inspired mom in that small town said, let's get together as mothers and start to study a book called The 5,000-Year Leap that Glenn Beck, I had never even heard of Glenn Beck, said that mothers should get together around their kitchen tables and study. And so I said, sign me up, because I was worried about what my children were being taught in school. So about 6 of us mamas 10 years ago began to gather, and we weren't constitutional scholars, we weren't law grads, we were just mamas very concerned about what our children were being exposed to. We met once a month for about 2 hours, and we'd go through the book and we talk about it, we share experiences, and we taught each other. And from that little group, we have been meeting now, and hence I moved to Utah, and I started a cottage meeting there because I realized the power of women coming together. And what happens is when women begin to learn the greatness of America and the stories of the great founding mothers and fathers of our nation, it infuses them with something, and they go home and they begin to teach their little children the way God reveals to them best for their ages, these things that they have been taught as women. And so that is what all of us original 6 did. We all went home, and some would teach in the morning, our family would, some would teach around the dinner table in the evening. And to see what our children have gone on to do with the teachings that their mamas taught them through the cottage meeting that the mothers received as they'd come together and learned the greatness of America. And so when I moved to Utah and I moved to a little neighborhood, and I realized all the kids, the mamas around me, their children were going to be the best buds of my kids, I wanted those mamas to know certain things. And so our kids could kind of be shored up in their understanding of beliefs. And so I started a little cottage meeting program where we would meet every week, Wednesday morning from 9:30 to 11:30. And those women are still meeting 8 years later, and about a group, this was in Utah, 10 of them are coming to Washington, D.C. in about 3 weeks, and they're going to study the great women engraved upon the architectural buildings in Washington, D.C. Why are there women? With every man engraved in a building, there's a counterpart woman, and she's holding certain things, and she has a child at breast, if you'll just notice this. There are quotes about the magnificence of women right there at Union Station, where I got off 4 blocks at the Metro to walk here, and no one even sees it. And so this group of women, their hearts have been infused with the role and the worth of a mother to teach that liberty begins at home. And if we're not teaching our children these things, no one will, because the children aren't getting it in the home anymore. And so these women meet every week, and if I could tell you the stories of what they have done individually in their homes, in their little neighborhoods, in their communities, in their states, and even their nations. We have 5 living children, 2 little stripling warrior sons in the heavens. Our children range from 23 down to 10. Our 23-year-old last Sunday was a part of the 53rd commemorative march across that bridge in Selma that ultimately went on to Montgomery 53 years ago. She has been taught she is meant to stand out and not fit in. And a lot of what I believe, some of what our children are doing today, was infused by me learning what I did in these cottage meetings as mothers. And then in our morning little scripture devotional hour where we would study scripture, and then I would teach them the stories of George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and the courage where they oftentimes had to stand alone and do things they didn't want to do. As we see, Al and I saw 6 months ago, our little 19-year-old son was drafted into the NBA, and it was a wonderful thing, but a scary thing, because he was thrown into a world of men doing things off court that he knew was wrong, and he has had to stand alone, and it has been very hard for him. But I know if I were to ask him, he would say, Mom, it was all those early morning devotionals of telling stories of George Washington standing for the truth, petitioning his God in heaven to be able to do hard things. And so I know the power of cottage meetings. I have seen it firsthand play out within my children and within the women in my community and neighborhoods. And so that is about all I'm going to say about cottage meetings, or else we could go on another hour. But thank you, Kimberly, for that opportunity.
The Cottage Meeting Project is our signature program of Homemakers for America. We do a lot of things, including this Mom's March movement, but the Cottage Meeting is the thing that has had the greatest impact. And we have been very blessed because I had Foster Freeze on my show last week when that shooting happened in that school. and everybody was still raw and in pain, I said, I need someone to come on my radio show to talk about this in a principled manner, where we can talk about the cause, the root cause of what's going on and how we can change it. And I thought, Foster Friess, his whole entire mission now is promoting civility. Let's have a return to civility. Wouldn't we all love that? Can we just be nice? I keep thinking of the Cinderella movie. Have courage and be kind. Can we just do that? Can we all agree? Can we start there? Common ground. Have courage. Be kind. Our new motto. So he came on and we talked about it. It was an incredible conversation. And then I talked to him about what we were doing here and the Declaration of Mothers and the history and how it had moved and what we were doing. And he was so impressed. He said, I cannot commend you enough for what you're doing. I hope you understand how important that this is. And I said, I do. Unfortunately, not very many other people do. And he said, well, how do you pay for this? How do you have advertiser? How do you do this? And I said, well, I hold out my hand and I blink my eyes and I hope that someone else loves America as much as I do. And sometimes they write me checks. And he said, well, Kimberly, can I help you by making a matching fund? And I said, sure, that would be great. Yes. And I want you to know that I am someone who is not speechless. Now that you've all heard me probably know this. Speechless is not something that's usually in my vocabulary. But Foster Friess said, from now until the end of March, I would like to make a matching pledge for everyone who writes a check or makes a donation to Homemakers for America. I will match it up to $50,000.
Wow.
I cannot even begin to tell you what that would mean for this organization and this movement. And God bless that man who recognized the importance of the home and the family. We do have an incredible group of women here. In my final comments, I want to reiterate the words of Frances Cobb, because International Women's Day started out to be a beautiful thing to celebrate everything. Basically, it's the Moms March movement. And somehow it has been absconded by people who are doing the exact opposite and promoting darkness. And so I want to reiterate the quote by that dear woman, Frances Cobb. She said, I want to recognize how noble and brave and beautiful is the ideal of womanly virtue. And then she warned us against the adoption of more looser bohemian manners, stating worst of all of that fatal laxity of judgment regarding moral transgressions. And she declared, these faults and mistakes constitute, I conceive, deadly perils to the whole movement for the advancement of women. And with all my strength I would implore every woman who sympathizes with that movement to set her face like flint against it. It is our task to make society more pure, more free from vice than it has ever been before. If women were to become less conscientious, less unselfish, less temperate, less chaste, then I should say, for heaven's sakes, let us stay where we are. Nothing we can ever gain would be worth such a loss. Today we are living with a loss, and it's time to turn up the heat, stand up, and be strong. Marjorie Hinckley, I love this, what she said. I don't want to drive up to the pearly gates in a shiny sports car wearing beautifully tailored clothes, my hair expertly coiffed, and with long, perfectly manicured fingernails. Mine are all broken now. I want to drive up in a station wagon that has mud on the wheels from taking kids to scout camp. I want to be there with a smudge of peanut butter on my shirt for making sandwiches for a sick neighbor's children. I want to be there with a little dirt under my fingernails from helping to weed someone's garden. I want to be there with children's sticky kisses on my cheeks and the tears of a friend on my shoulder. I want the Lord to know I was really here and that I really lived.
Yeah.
This is our call, ladies. So a day with a mother, let's live. And as far as this movement goes, and I see it going very far, let us continue to remember to have courage and be kind. Amen. Thank you.